Hello, friends. So, I have a little story to share with you. Originally, I wanted to go live with attorney Michelle Murphy on our Blossoms and Brushes pages. We've been having a little bit of technical difficulty with that. So, I decided to swing over here to Instagram and hopefully, cross fingers, we can get to connect that way. And then I could share the broadcast. And oh, wait, hold on. I think I see her, and she's requesting. Yes, yeah. Hold on. Cross our fingers here. See if this works. Maybe. Woo! Thank you. I'm on the other computer right now. I'm sending a message to all the groups telling them to go to Facebook. Oh, I appreciate your time and your patience.
No problem.
I'm going to go ahead and just let everybody know we are on Instagram.
Okay. Cool.
Oh my goodness. Never give up.
What happened to me the last time with another girl that I tried to go live with on Facebook? I don't know why they make it so difficult. I don't know.
You know what? Mark Zuckerberg and I are having issues right now. This should be easy. This should be a no-brainer.
Yeah. You know? I don't understand why they make it so hard on Facebook to go live.
I'm copying the link right now and I'm posting it on Facebook. So hopefully folks will start to meander over. But if not, I'm going to try to save it and then post it in both groups.
Yeah.
Or my group and everything. So, okay. Well, again, thank you so much for your time and your patience. I'm really excited because you have so much knowledge to share with these people, and they need to know because it's a group of mostly creative entrepreneurs, solopreneurs, and small businesses, and then just people who are just supportive in the arts or creative folks. And they all need to hear this. Obviously the business-minded people need to hear this, but even if they're just art enthusiasts or creative enthusiasts or hobbyists, and maybe one day they want to take it to the next level, this is all great information they need to know now so they don't make the same mistakes that some of us make in the beginning of our business and we find out the hard way. So let's go ahead and get started. Basically, just to let everybody know, this is the wonderful, gracious, beautiful Michelle Murphy from the Wilson Murphy Law Group, and she's been kind enough to share her time with us. And one of the reasons why I wanted to reach out to her is because she actually specializes in creative businesses. And being a creative entrepreneur for many years, I wish I had had done a lot of these things before.
Right.
And I wanted to make sure I shared this. So I'm just going to cover like 3 basic things. We're going to get to know you a little bit better. And then I'm going to share some questions from my creative entrepreneurs group. And then I'm going to just kind of do a little bit of a wrap up and see if there's any additional things that you wanted to share. And like I said, I'm going to try to post this on our our Facebook group whenever I can. So let's get started. Michelle, again, thank you so much for coming or popping on with me. I would love for you to share a little bit about, where you're from. I know that you're in Florida now, but where are you from? What brought you to Florida? Just kind of share that with us.
Okay, so I've been bouncing for the past probably 4 years. So 2014, I moved up to DC to get a job up there because in Florida I couldn't find a job. So I went up to DC on a hope and a prayer, and no job up there either. But I ended up getting a job like 2 weeks after I was there, which was a blessing. And then that job was a temp job, and it ended up being my permanent job.
Wow!
So I stayed there for 4. Thanks. Thanks, DJ. And then I stayed there for 4 years up until this past year. So 2019, 5 years actually. So I was there for 5 years. And then I decided to open my own law firm because they wanted me to, because I was working remotely, but they wanted me to move back to DC. And I was like, I'm not moving back. So
I'm not going back there again.
So I decided to open up my law firm, and then my husband was able to get a contracting job in Florida, which is where I'm from, and I'm barred. So it just made it a lot easier for the trip.
Oh, yeah, we want to get back to that warm weather is basically what you're saying.
Basically. I complained every winter. I was complaining, and I'm so happy to be here right now.
Where's the sun? So how long have you been practicing law?
2013, so six and a half years.
Okay. So did you always want to own your own business, or was this something that kind of like, when you first, yeah.
I'm not sure that I always wanted to own my own business. I did know that I wasn't the best employee. So it was kind of, so it was, and I wasn't a bad employee either. It was just like, you always have those like, God, why am I in this meeting? And this is stupid. Like, I'm so over it. That type of situation.
Perpetual meetings. Like every corporate environment I have ever been in, it's like the never-ending meeting. And as you go to the next meeting, the next week, they go back to the same stuff they talked about the previous week, and it just keeps it just never seems to die.
Yeah. So I was in that situation for like 5 years, and I was just like, I don't like this. And so I was like, and my girlfriend had started her own law firm. She was always encouraging me to start my own. So then that's pretty much how that went. So I like kind of leaned on her to help me get started with everything.
When did you first fall in love with what you do? Like, what made you kind of go down this path?
So this is a weird story, right?
I love weird stories. They're my favorite.
So how I started my law firm. So initially I was going to do debt collection defense because that's pretty much what I was doing before. Like before I moved from Florida, I was doing a lot of debt collection defense. So I was like, that's what I know. I'll just go back to that. And then I was like, but why am I doing something that I don't want? Like I'm creating a law firm to do something I don't want to do. I can just stay at my job if I wanted to do that. You know what I mean? So, so one night I was dreaming about a really popular YouTuber. I don't know why she was in my dream. And so she had a legal issue, and I was like, why don't you just get an attorney? She was like, they don't have attorneys for YouTubers. And I was like,
wow.
So I woke up, this is like 2:00 in the morning. I like bolted up. Like, is this something that I could do? So then I started Googling, and there was other attorneys out there for creatives. And I was like, okay, well, if there's already some out there, that must mean that they need them. And I want to go and do that too. So
that is so crazy to me. I mean, I love how literally your subconscious mind prepped up to you in your sleep and said, you don't want to do this. That's not what your passion is. That's not what your core, your drive is. Let me show you what you really want to do. Right. That is so interesting to me. Oh my God. You can make
I had bought the books and everything.
I'm fairly certain you can make tons of money doing collection stuff, but at the end of the day, when you wake up in the morning, are you going to jump out of bed going, woo, collection? It doesn't happen. Oh, that's awesome. I love that. So I was going to ask you, how did you find your niche? But that was like the best. Like you literally went inside yourself and you didn't have to go far because it was like, boom, right on the top of your mind. So what was the scariest part about starting your own business?
I would say not knowing what I was doing. Like they don't teach us anything in law school. Like they teach you how to work for somebody else. They don't teach you how to create your own law firm.
You are right. And I think that's the biggest problem I find as a creative entrepreneur, because my degree was in art, and it took me like, I went all over the world. Like, I worked for so many other different people, like working 3 and 4 creative jobs that didn't pay anything, by the way. You remember, did you ever watch In Living Color?
Yep.
Where they had the Jamaican family that worked like 10 jobs and 15 jobs a month. I was working like 5 jobs a month at the same time. And none of them paid like that much more than minimum wage. So, right. But they teach you how to, they give you the tools to kind of be creative. And they kind of say, yeah, you can do this to make a living, but they don't really tell you how to make a living and how to price yourself and how to protect yourself and how to protect your creative, property and everything. So
they
you
don't
like
teach you like how to just start. Like they don't guide you to how to create a LLC. Like they don't do any of that. You have to do all of that on your own, and to me it's ridiculous. I'm pretty sure now I think at my law school they're having more like entrepreneurial law classes, but when I was there, that wasn't even an option. So
I mean, that's just crazy to me how you have this desire to make a living off of something, but you don't know how to, unless you are planning on working for somebody else until you die.
Yeah. Or you can like luck up and get a mentor that kind of like guides you to,
maybe if you're lucky,
yeah.
And then sometimes you'll start a business, but because you don't have the foundations of things like sales and marketing and goal setting and your admin and your legal, you can find yourself going out of business before you can actually make a profit.
Right. And which you don't turn a profit for like 3 years, they say, or 5.
3 to 5 years.
Yeah.
And even then, I don't think a lot of us know how to structure our businesses so that, it's not just paying the bare minimum to keep the lights on.
Right.
You need to pay yourself, pay your team, and then have a little something to grow on.
Exactly.
So that you can continue to develop as a business. So all those things are never talked about, ever.
No, never. Not even what taxes you're supposed to be paying. Like I had to do all that on my own.
Oh my gosh. Yes. And in Virginia, we tax everything.
Oh yeah, I lived in Virginia, so yes, I know. Luckily, in Florida, we do not.
Trust me, the Commonwealth will come after you. Believe me. I mean, but even certain things like setting up a business structure. I did not know anything about an LLC versus a corporation versus an S corp. I didn't know any of those things.
Luckily, I knew that stuff because I had to take a business entities class.
Mm-hmm. But that's part of your world, isn't it?
That's part of the law. So they taught us but they didn't teach us how to set it up. They just taught us the law behind it. That was it.
So let me go ahead and, as a matter of fact, I have a couple of questions from our creative business entrepreneurs group, and I would love to share them with you because they are, like I said, they are entrepreneurs, they're creative businesses, and there's a few things that they asked that I'm sure that you probably heard, and a lot of people who are listening need to hear. So the first thing is, can you tell us the difference between, or what's the general idea between the difference between a trademark versus a copyright, and generally speaking, what's better to protect your creative, your creative entities or your creative, your intellectual property?
So I would say, the main difference between a trademark and a copyright is that trademarks deal with brands. So it's basically how me, the consumer, can identify a brand. Okay. So that's it. That's the lowdown of what a trademark is. And then a copyright is basically it's the protection of creative works like books, music, art, graphics, like theater plays and things like that, sculptures. So all that type of stuff. So anything that you've created, like by hand or wrote or whatever, that's what a copyright protects.
So does everything you create need to have a copyright? Like, let's say, for example, okay, let's say we're going to do so. Let's say I'm a photographer and I'm doing some creative marketing, and I want to do a free digital downloady kind of thing. So I make up like a PDF that says, here's 5 tips to prep for your engagement session.
Right.
Is that something I need to copyright, or is that something I can maybe put in the terms of service? Maybe. I mean, what would be?
You can copyright it. I mean, it's always good to copyright everything. But the thing is that you get an automatic copyright when you write something. So it's automatically copyrighted. You technically don't have to register it. Why you're registering for a copyright is if someone steals from you, you can get damages from it. So you can get paid.
Wow. Okay.
And you can get certain types of damage. So you can still get damages if you don't register, but you don't get things like the attorney's fees. I think you can get what are the ones that the punishment damages, punitive damages.
I mean, I don't think about the law. I just know what I hear off of television.
So
I've heard that before.
So there's more types of damages that you can get if you register.
Okay.
So that's the main reason why you want to register your copyrights.
So
I'm saying, if you have a course or something, like courses and books,
yeah,
I would be more prone to copyright. Your little freebie, probably not.
Okay. So,
unless it's like a hell of a freebie.
Well, it's just like a little 1-page download or something. I don't think people are going to stress too. But if you like write this big fat novel kind of thing, that makes perfect sense. So speaking of terms, like when I do but when anybody does like one of those online, in order to get this information, you agree to our terms of service. What type of things can we put in our policies or our terms of service that they can click the little checkbox on that are valid or that can be enforced or, that covers us?
So basically I've been researching, trying to get it's called a click wrap. I want to say that's what it's called, where you can say, I accept for your terms and conditions. And I've been looking around like on WordPress for plugins that I can use that on because I want that. And that's pretty much, there's a lot of the case law about technically like it's harder to say that the consumer didn't know or knew about something if they didn't have to do like the check mark thing. So it's easier for a consumer to like get away with things if you don't have that little that little check box. So, because I wrote a blog article not too long ago about it, and then I like saw the click wrap thing, and I was like, "Ooh, I need this." So,
that's a good idea. I think I need that.
But sorry, I didn't even answer your question. What was the?
It's fine.
What was the actual question?
So the actual question was, what types of things could you include in your terms of service or type of form on your homepage or your opt-in page or your landing page or whatever page that's legally enforceable or that you can put that will cover your stuff basically.
So I mean, your terms and conditions is it's a contract. It's really like it's a full scope contract. So the standard, like what you usually put in there is going to be like, you can put in your refund policy. I probably recommend, the more that I'm like looking into it, I probably would recommend your refund policy be on a separate page. Okay. But you can't. But it doesn't hurt to have your refund.
I mean, I heard you interrupt, but just kind of interject. So why would you put that as a separate page as opposed to listing everything together?
Because people don't read. So when that chargeback comes, you can be like, here's the return policy. It's on one page. You couldn't miss it. Like you chose to miss it instead of it being like kind of bundled into your terms and conditions that nobody actually really reads.
That makes sense.
So your refund policy is a big one for me. I would say how you want your intellectual property treated. So like there's websites like BuzzFeed and they want you to share their stuff everywhere. But if you're the type of person that's like, don't touch my stuff, like I don't want anyone to be able to use my blog post for anything, then I would say you could, it's called, they're like licensing almost. That's what it is. So you can be like, people can use it, or people, I don't want anybody to use it. And there's just certain, depending on your business, it can just be drafted in so many different ways so that's a big one. How you treat your intellectual property, your trademarks, your copyrights, all that type of stuff.
Okay.
And what else? So the disclaimers and the liabilities. So you don't want, like, if you're a health coach, you don't want someone being like, well, I did what you said and now I have diabetes or something, and it's your fault.
Everything you told me to eat. Well, he also ate like a candy bar every night before, he went to bed. So
right.
Can't blame me. So,
so that's a big one too. You're like basically saying, like, just because I wrote this on here, this is all only for informational or educational purposes, and that's it. Like, you can't blame me for.
You have to be responsible for your own results.
Exactly.
So another question that I had was, and this is when because I stalk you, in a friendly, healthy way. And one of the things I heard you say at one time during like a post or something, you had mentioned something about chargebacks. I think that's kind of like really like pow in my head. Is there a way that you could protect yourself when you against things like chargebacks, or like in your contracts, or maybe how can you position yourself so that people say, oh well, I know this says that I subscribe to this monthly fee for whatever, but or this, I don't know where this reoccurring payment for services I know already you already provided. How do you protect yourself against that?
So one thing you want to do on your back end, everyone can do this because I did it myself. So I use Stripe. Go into your Stripe and say, write out how you're going to show up on someone's statement so they know. So instead of it just being like some random number that no one knows, I have mine. I think it's Will Smurf Law or something like that. So that's where it came from. So then they can't really. It's a little bit hard to dispute that part of it. And then also you have your refund policy, which is going to be like, okay, you can return this shirt within 5 days, but you're going to be responsible for shipping, and it just lays out the ground. That your refund policy is so important to the chargeback thing, or the chargeback dispute, because that's what they're going to be looking at. They're going to ask you for your refund policy, and they're going to ask you for that type of evidence when the dispute happens. And I put my refund policy everywhere. So my refund policy is different from my digital products. And that's another thing. You want to make sure you're very clear about what refund policy goes to what. So for my services, I have one refund policy, and in my terms and conditions, it says, which I'm going to take out and put it on a separate webpage now, because I feel like I need to do that. My refund policy, under the refund policy, it says for services, this is the policy. For my digital products, this is the policy. So you have to make it really clear, because you don't want someone to be like, well, you said on your terms and conditions that I have a 5-day refund, even though this is a service. And you know what I mean?
This is over with, so you can't really do that.
and chargebacks they're in favor of the customer already. So you want to make sure you're on point with what you have. And
I love that, because I never really thought about it. But when I do go through my statements, I'm like looking and I don't recognize a charge. I'm like, what is
same thing?
Aspen, Colorado.
Mm-hmm.
I've never been to Aspen, Colorado. What is this? And then I have to go back and think, what charge was this? And so if it says specifically, it's abbreviated your actual name or something, then it's the same on the contract. There's no question at all.
Right.
And you can easily say, nope, this is this and this is this. They're the same code. There's no question. Okay.
Yeah.
So another question I had was, and this is another thing, like, again, because you put all those juicy little tidbits on your, if you don't follow her email list, if you don't follow her on Facebook, you are just messing out because she gives you all these little gems, these little pearls. So something you talked about was working with independent contractors, and this is the one that was my light bulb moment that I heard that you said, if I hire a person to do my blog or to do to write write a blog article for me, and they're an independent contractor. Technically, you had said something like technically that content is their content.
Mm-hmm. That's their copyright.
Could you explain that to people listening? So, if I hire an independent contractor to do some work for me as my business, but I don't position myself properly, when they leave, that work can leave with them, and I lose that creative content.
Right. So, when you hire an independent contractor or any service-based business, like your copywriter, your website designer, graphic designers, photographers, all those people that do the work for you, they own the copyright. They own the content. And so a big thing that you should have in your contracts for independent contractors is that you put in a work for hire clause. Oh, VAs too. VAs also, virtual assistants.
Virtual assistant. That's a big one. That's the whole point of hiring a virtual assistant, so you have to do the work.
Exactly. So the work for hire clause is saying, even though you created it, and I draft mine a certain way, even though you created it, that creative content belongs to the business name, and I make sure I put the business name because we want to make it very clear whose content belongs to.
Girl right here. Nobody else gets it. Mine.
And I also and I also put in that that they'll assist you with all the information that you need if you want to file for the copyright. File for the copyright. Because technically, when you file for a copyright, you have to put the author's name, and the author is technically
the person who wrote it, who may not be your business. Ooh.
So then if you want to say for the work for hire part on the copyright application, I think you have to attach your contractors. You have to attach the thing that says that it was a work for hire.
That's crazy. So there are people out here who technically have their whole websites are built by an independent contractor. And then they decide that, I want to switch to a different company, or I want to do my own website, or I just hired a tech person, or I just hired a graphic person who's going to take care of it. And then you try to get your content, and they're like, no, we own your website. And all the pretty pictures and all the verbiage and all the copy that's on it, that's all ours. And then you have to fight to get your website content back.
Yeah.
Or start from ground zero.
Or start from ground zero. Yep.
Wow. That's crazy.
And a lot of people don't realize that. A lot of people don't realize that. So
that is insane. So, okay, I do have another question. So when hiring an independent contractor, what are the biggest mistakes you see people make?
Well, that was one.
That's one. That's number one. Not having, what is it called? A work for hire clause. That's number one.
But some other things. So with independent contractors, you can't treat them like an employee. Like, they're not your employee. So you need to make sure that, because each state has their own laws about independent contractors. And so you want to make sure that you're following the state's kind of ground rules. And like what most states have is that you don't create their hours. They can work from anywhere they want to. They can work with whoever they want to. Obviously, if there's like a non-solicitation clause,
Right.
that's. But
can you no compete clause? Can you
and
do
a
something like that?
non-compete? You can also
Okay.
put a non-compete in there. You can.
Okay, cool.
What else? There's like a long. I have it in my. I have a starter kit, like a legal starter kit, and I have.
I'm gonna get to that. I'm gonna get to that. I promise you.
But I have a whole list of the employee versus an independent contractor, and it has a whole list of everything. But those are the big. Oh, and also like that you're not paying their taxes.
Oh yeah.
You're not paying for their workers' compensation. That they may or may be able to hire subcontractors. Obviously, the contract depends on the subcontracting, but there's a whole long list. Hold on, let me turn on lights. Because it's dark. It's okay. Dark.
I have my ring on, so I'm like, I'm good.
I got my ring light right here. I need to plug it up. And then also, I think that those, I would say, honestly, it's the employee, it's the person that is contracting the independent contractor that I see the most mistakes with, not the actual independent contractor. Because the person that's hiring has to set the ground rules of how that person's going to be treated.
Okay, that makes perfect sense. So those are the main questions that my group had, and I'm sure that there are tons of other questions. But I was going to ask you, do you have resources that obviously they can reach out to you directly, but do you have a catalog or something that or not a catalog, but a shop with some downloadables and things like the how to do the. I'm all about this whole work for hire clause thing. I'm like that's like my aha moment of the day. So do you have like a resource that you can refer to people to?
Sure. So I have a bunch of resources in my law shop. It's www.wilsonmurphylaw.com/law shop, and that's where all my DIY contract templates are. And then for my starter toolkit, because I don't know the exact, the last part of it. Let me make sure I get it right.
Can they DM you if they want more information about that?
Of course, yes. Or they can join I have a freebie that you can join, and it'll give you the startup check. It'll give you the toolkit for only $9 if you sign up.
Wow, that's
one time.
I'm getting that tonight. Just send me the link. I'll get it tonight. I promise you.
Yes. Hold on.
So somebody said, do you have something with the work for hire clause in your shop?
Yes, the independent contractor template. And my contracts are on sale still from Black Friday because I had a glitch in my system last night. So I extended the sale. And
bless your heart. I was hoping you were gonna give the people who popped on with us a little bit of a special something. So appreciate that very much.
So all my contracts are $154 right now. Normally they're $237. If you think about it, I start at $750 for a custom drafted contract. So you're really getting.
Believe me, I know.
But if you use the code BF2019, and I'm going to put it in here too.
Please do. So that's if they wanted to do the DIY stuff. If somebody wanted to work with you personally, like one-on-one or something like that, do you offer that kind of stuff that you can work remotely with people or what have you? Yes. Okay. And what's the best way for people to work with you directly?
So if you go onto my website, there is a form that you can fill out, and it comes directly to me, and I kind of see if you're ready to work with me or not. And if you are, I get back to you immediately. And you have to make an appointment with me, and then I'll gather more information about what you need, what you're looking for, or whether I can help you or not. And I'll let you know. I'm not here to just take people's money. If I can't help you, I'm going to let you know I can't help you. So
Yeah, I know about that too. And there was a time when I wanted to help everybody. And it wasn't just about the money. It was about the, oh, they really need my service. They really need me to help them. But it's like, first of all, I can't do everything for everybody all the time.
and
Because
you may just do a disservice to them trying to take something that
exactly. And also, if I am too busy focusing on trying to help somebody that I'm really not meant to help, that stops me from finding the person I'm supposed to work with and hurts them from finding the person they're supposed to work with. So it's just move it along and free up the space for the right person. That's all it boils down to. I'm trying to think. Who is your if you can, now that we just talked about it, if you can tell us what is your ideal client? Like, who are some of the best types of clientele for you to work with?
My ideal client is women. Sorry, men, but I just like working with the women more.
That'll be all right.
It's women who have small businesses, who are creatives. And usually they're about 2 to 3 years in business. So they know it. They know that these types of things are important. So I don't have to sit there and try to convince you like this is important. You need this. By 2 to 3 years, you kind of know what you need, especially legally. Yeah. And so,
well, sorry.
That's it. No, that's you too.
Well, I think my phone is getting at the end of use right now. But I want to thank you so much for taking the time to talk and share. And you've given us so much great information. And the things that you just uncovered in the last few minutes, just like, and I wish I had known this way when I started. And as a matter of fact, tonight, I'm going to find that work for hire clause that needs to go in everything I do, like immediately. So
you want to be strategic with it. I would say if it's for you, you want an assignment clause maybe, or like you want to license it.
You just give me all the knowledge. Give me all the knowledge.
Like
oh my gosh.
The leverage for the work for hire is the leverage for the person that's going to hire the independent contractor.
Wow. Okay.
And then the licensing is kind of like, I can still use this if I want to, but I'm also giving you permission to use it too.
Oh my gosh. So is this stuff in your kit, in your kits, or in your stuff?
The work for, is that in there? I have to look. I'm not sure, but I will maybe add it. Because I always update. I send out the updates to anybody that's already bought it.
So tell us again where to go to make sure we're on your mailing list and to get your download and get the starter stuff. Share it again.
www.wilsonmurphylaw.com/checklist. That's it. That's all you got to type in. It's very simple. And from there, you can grab my starter kit. It's only $9. It's a one-time $9 offering, and
done. I'm buying it right. Like as soon as I hang up, I'm going on and it's done. I'm getting that right now. Michelle, you are so awesome. Thank you. I'm going to try to repost this in my other group, but at least Instagram folks got this, so it's a start.
I'm going to leave mine posted for 24 hours also. I mean, it'll go away, but at least we have it.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, gosh, thank you so much. This has been so amazingly helpful. And I don't care if every business owner, everybody who's thinking about owning a business, every entrepreneur, everybody needs to be listening to what you're telling people. So if they want to sign up for your newsletter, do they just go to
the checklist? WilsonMurphyLaw.com/checklist.
Perfect.
And you'll go on my newsletter and you'll get the checklist. And Sasha, I'm gonna message you about the assignment clause thing because I know you asked about it.
That's I'm telling you right now.
Well, that is why I do what I do. I love being able, because I'm like a trivia person. So I love like when I am able to like stump people.
Well, you shared a lot of stuff. I had a lot of light bulb moments today. So thank you so much again. I really appreciate it. And you know what? I hope everybody gets a chance to visit your site, follow you on Instagram. What's your Instagram handle again? Because they can see it.
Michelle W. Murphy ESQ.
Perfect. All right. Well, thank you so much. You have a great night. I appreciate you so much.
You're welcome. I'll see you later.
Bye.
Bye.